Well, the whole inadequate living conditions in prisons that you're describing, what umbrella does that fall under for funding, for regulations, for, having like a standard of living conditions that human beings should be allowed, whether you have made a mistake or not? You know what I'm asking?
Yes.
So
Do you
does
have hours to talk about this?
Just simply, is it the state? Is it federal? Is it local? Is it where? What?
Well, some of these are private prisons too. We can get into that, the private prison part. So sometimes the money that comes in does not always go to where it's supposed to. Am I sound like a conspiracy theorist? Are we going down a rabbit
Here
hole?
we got
I don't know.
State of Michigan Department
Michigan
of Corrections, write them a
group.
letter.
Right.
He was kind of saying, oh, I want to still be able to go back.
Yeah.
But that's for real. They'll just cancel your pass. They'll take you out of the
Take me
system.
right
There'll be
out
a do
because
not
they-
enter.
yeah.
He spoke against. There
right.
definitely is a culture of you can't really talk about how things are going in here.
Right.
You need to toe the line, because I was always a contractor. I was never an employee. And so it was always like, oh, you've got a blue ID. You got to really watch your P's and Q's, because they can at any time say, there's a stop order, you can't come in anymore. And which then prevents me from doing the work that's meaningful to me. So, yeah.
So Judy's question is where
Where does
the money?
responsibility?
The responsibility for the money. How are these institutions being funded, and where does that money go? How do we hold them accountable? Accountability.
Human living conditions,
And
because they're human beings,
Sure.
So you've made a mistake, but you're still a human being.
Right,
And if you
right.
ever hope to rehabilitate anybody,
I mean,
they have
out
to
of-
be treated as humans and worthy.
Out of the state budget, they have an allotment for the MDOC. So it really depends on how it's used, because you have to understand prison is overcrowded and it's understaffed. So a lot of that, when officers work overtime, that kind of draws away from the prison budget that may be allotted for the inmates. As far as programs, equipment, gym equipment, things of that nature. But the truth of the matter, it's prison. We're inmates, and they just don't really care. And it's funny because one time I had a job in the kitchen, and the meat that comes in, for the prison, and I saw a box, and it was supposed to be, meat that they serve, the inmates. It had on there, not meant for human consumption. Not meant for human consumption. And this is what they was feeding the population. So that let me know right then, that, it's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. The best thing to do is to serve your time, do what you're supposed to do, get out of there, and don't come back. And be some type of advocate on the outside, because they need it, especially for guys that didn't take, the little 2 seconds or 1 second to think about what they were doing, and they're locked in for the rest of their life. So, that's pretty much, you just have to, like you say, if you go home, serve your time, get out of there, and try to become an advocate.
Yeah, that was the conversations I would have. This guard, this CO, this individual is racist, and I'm like, probably. And I think the best thing you can do is to just do what you need to do to get out of here and become an advocate, and to then, we always would kind of say, oh, this is a Lansing thing. It's Lansing, right? That was like a common theme of, here's another Lansing decision. But it's not safe. It is not safe for you to speak against the institution when you are in there.
Right.
It's not. So you'll get transferred, it's just not safe.
Well, I have a couple things to say. Number one, the 9 convictions of drunk driving. Who's the judge? I would like to know. I would like to know. When something like that happens, that person, the judge, should be held responsible. If he's going to kill somebody, and and then go, oh, whoops, it's like, that's not right. He should be accountable and he should be voted out. The other thing, like being in prison, just like in life, you have your routine, how you live in your house and what you do. And when you're in prison in a situation like that, and you get used to that routine and then you get shoved back out into the reality of life. And it's like, I think that would be extremely difficult to get a pattern going again, especially if you don't have a job to go to, and you could fall into bad habits very easily if you don't have your purpose. And it's if having a support system, and if you don't have family, group things that are supportive, I would be. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I think in Midland, like McFour is a great organization, to help with that transition. And it's like I said at the very beginning, gainful employment, purpose, and a place to stay. And, if you don't have those things, then what incentive do you have? And speaking again to my community, Midland, I think really tries hard to help out all groups, including those, like I said with McFour, that are being released back into the community, and try to help them get a driver's license, help them get their social security card. But I do agree with you, that it could be a scary thing for sure. Prison, no, because they're out of, so,
He works in the jail.
yeah, so for the jail, assuredly, yes. We have many avenues that we align people with as possibilities. There's a former offender, I don't mind talking about it because he's very popular out in the community, Buddy Answer, the construction company, I can't think of the name off the top of my
I
head.
can't remember the name of his company, but yeah.
I want to say he's employed 90-some past offenders now.
Yeah.
With the trades, building houses and, construction work. And so, yeah, we definitely do at our jail at the local level.
I think
And I've,
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry,
No, no.
but yes, from what I understand, from what the guys are telling me, they are starting to do that in the prison system too, to start helping them to get their ID and some other things. They're starting the process before they get out, like a month or 2 or 3 before they get out. They're starting to help them. Now they can't give it to them, but they're starting the process. So that hopefully is helping them once they get out.
Full incentive and getting encouraged.
Get their ID, because
Yeah.
if you can't get your ID, you can't get your license, you can't get a job, you may go back soon, quickly. So
Well, 'cause
that's,
what else will you do? I mean, I guess I always ask, what else do you do? If you can't get the stuff, how do you get it, right?
Just go back.
And so and again, this is me talking from a perspective of, I've never been like, robbed at gunpoint, so I don't know how it would feel if somebody did that. I don't know if I don't know. And so, but from this perspective, I would hope that we provided people the resources to be able to, be able to live life how we should be able to live, and just the fresh air. Like the whole idea that you don't have fresh air and like clean water or access to things like that really is troubling to me. And so, yeah. I don't know how we change that system. I mean, that system is so deeply rooted in so many different things that I don't know. So you just kind of do it person by person, moment by moment, because really, honestly, it's such a big system. Yeah.
So Michigan implemented major reforms to its jail and pretrial systems that focus on reducing pretrial detention and increasing alternatives. In Midland County, these reforms are being applied in programs such as the juvenile status offender diversion, adult specialty courts, including the recovery court and mental health court, and intensive probation diversion. I'm a Midland County resident, so I was wondering, Has there been an uptick in individuals in Midland being released during pretrial rather than detained due to these new changes that were implemented? And would you say that these changes have helped or hurt the system?
Is that for me? Is that from
Exactly. You're the only
is
one
that
that
from
can
my
answer.
op-ed? Yeah, I was going to say, I heard that before. I think I wrote that, didn't I? Oh, I wrote an op-ed about the jail a couple weeks ago. What's that?
She's like,
Oh, thank you. Yeah, good, thanks. So, yes, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but we do have some very successful programming that we are partnering with the courts, My Hope, Mental Health Court, Recovery Court, and I got to be careful with this. I'm not an advocate for a cashless bail system because contrary to I mean, there's a lot of dangerous people, and some people just, they shouldn't get out. I'm not saying ever, but and we have some of them in our jail that they've done some horrific things, and we don't want them out. But for lower level stuff, absolutely. This was just a topic of conversation today based on our local inmate count, that it's changed drastically over the years. And the judges have a hand in it, in the bonds that they institute upon people and able to get out, because there are these diversions to where, okay, you're a first-time offender or whatever, we're going to get you aligned with this program right away and try to get you back on track quick rather than have you sit in jail. I just don't have those statistics right in front of me. But
Okay.
yes, I do think it's working.
So collectively, the judges and the court system and the sheriff's office, all you guys are working together to implement these programs that
Yes.
the state of Michigan has said, hey, let's go ahead and do pre-trial, things like this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, along with the Department of Health and Human Services, the state of Michigan through probation and parole. There are many hands on deck. We have a meeting tomorrow at noon, as a matter of fact, about that very topic. So it is working.
awesome. Good question.
All right, so my questions were, I got two. That's for G. Because I was just over here thinking, well, I had a guy came into my place of business, and he spoke about how he forgets. We're only open on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And he said he doesn't know when the days are because he never counted days when he was in prison. He did like 20 years. And he was like, I never knew what day it was. I just knew I had to get through that day. So it's like he hasn't been out that long. So I just wanted to ask you, how long did it take you to get out of the normal day-to-day life that you had? Because you've been out, what, 12 now? It's 12?
Going on 12.
Going on 12, right?
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to get out of that? Or are you still kind of in it? Still, do you do anything that's still reminiscent of that? That's my first question.
I tried my best not to become institutionalized, and because I was, back in society. But it took me a little minute. I mean, it's weird because, in there you sleep on a mat, and up under the mat is just a steel bunk. So when I came home, I couldn't sleep in a regular bed because it felt like I was falling. Because I wasn't used to a soft mattress, after all them years. So I would make a pallet on the floor, until I got, acclimated to, sleeping in the bed. But as far as, everything is built on a routine in prison. You do the same thing, the repetitiveness of it, just about every day. You wake up, you go to the weight pit, you go to your job, you go eat at a certain time, you know what I mean? So it wasn't because I was released. When I got released, I had a family. So it was easy to get out that prison mode, So it didn't take me long.
Gotcha.
It didn't take me. It took me, I don't know, maybe about a few months.
Oh, that was quick.
And that was because I started working in a similar facility, you know,
Gotcha, yeah.
similar environment, you know, and then my kids, you know, they were, you know, when I left, my daughter was just, my youngest daughter was just turning 4, and when I came home, you know what I'm saying,
Right,
she was
right.
turning 17.
Right, right.
You know, so I, you know, she was like, Daddy, you a little aggressive. And I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. You know,
Right,
it wasn't
right,
like I was like, you know, I was like, oh, you're right. So I just
Right.
corrected myself, and it was easy. But it really depends on the individual.
That's
like
what
I
I
said.
was- yeah, that's what I was
Community
saying.
you
Yeah,
have around you.
yeah, as opposed to,
Right.
you know, doing 13 years as opposed to the guy, you know, doing 20.
Right, right.
You know,
Right.
and so.
And we
then-
have a guy in Flint, he did 50, and he just got out. And he didn't do the crime. He was with the guy who did the crime. So I met him, and I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, it's hard for me to get back into it.
Yeah.
I'm like, 50 years
Yeah,
is long.
50 years is
That's
is
crazy.
is a life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
That's a life.
So I wanted to be fat. My second question, because I was kind of going by what Aaron said, the community. So I just wanted to ask, like, what role do you think your environment had in you going to prison? Because I'm thinking right now, like, we didn't have social media coming up, so everything was like hand to hand, and everybody was outside.
You say going to prison or coming home?
Going.
Going?
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah.
part of the
What type did the community and the environment you were in?
I don't want to blame it on that.
Right.
You know,
right.
it was just a choice I made.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because it wasn't a mistake. It was something that I did over and over and over
Gotcha.
again.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was a choice I made, and I paid for those choices.
Right. And I don't. I'm sorry.
And, you know, it was, I don't want to say because, you know, I'm a vet, you know what I'm saying? And I, you know, it's just the choices I made.
Right.
It's just, you know, I can't blame it on the community. I don't want to blame it on the community.
Right.
That made me, you know, go to, you know, to make the choice I made, you know, but it was just, you know, as you know, growing up inner city, you know, it's already kind of hard, you know, it's kind of tough, but you just, if you make the right decisions, I mean, you know, hey, you can make it out, you know, it's just that, you know, I chose to go a little left, so, but, you know, now I'm back to the right, so that's, you know what I'm saying, which all that matters, you know what I'm saying, yeah.
And our community, I mean, our environment does shape things, right? At least even, I mean, because I know it's some things that you may not even necessarily, how do I want to say this, think of or even know is available to you unless you see it. I mean, that's just nature, right?
Right.
And so it's this idea that if something, because again, I go back to kids, like when I see children in certain situations, that's all they know, right? They literally do not even know they can leave their city, right? You have some kids that don't know they can even travel outside their city. It's like, no, there's a big world out there. You can go places. And so sometimes we limit people's options or what they may have access to based on how we raise them and what we expose them to, right? And so I always tell families, like, even if you can't travel, get your child a book to let them know that there are places that they could potentially go to when they get older. And sometimes we can't help shape the options that they know that they can have, right? Or one way or the other, but go ahead. Man. Sorry.
And this is kind of along those lines. You asked earlier about what can the community do? And it should be things beforehand.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're a trauma therapist. Now, he had kids that were living when he went into prison. Are they receiving any help or any therapy because their dad was taken away and put in prison?
Like in general. Not his kids.
Right,
but
in
like-
general. I mean, so I think something to think about in terms of how we conceptualize trauma, right, and specifically with guys who we would work with is there's this, the adverse childhood experiences, if people are familiar with that. So it's basically, there was a ton of research that was done. It said what things happen to people that cause them to then have these negative health outcomes, right? And they did a lot of science. You can fall down the research rabbit hole in that. But essentially, it was these kind of essentially 10 items. If these things happen during 0 to 18, we know that this individual with 4 or more ACEs, is what they're called, your ACE score, that is equates to toxic stress, right? And so when we have toxic stress, right, we tend to live in that like limbic system, midbrain, back brain, very reactive, very much fight or flight. And so if that's, so I would do, that was one of our, they call it psychoeducation. It's like early in treatment, is you just talk about, hey guys, here's these things called ACEs. Everybody, you don't have to share your score, you don't have to, right? But just go through that and kind of check off, right? What is true for you? And I can't tell you how many times, and it still happens now that with the juveniles I work with, every single thing is marked. Every single item, right? And so it's things like, do you have a parent who has been incarcerated, right? Any parent who's been out of the home. Have you witnessed or experienced violence? Have you seen your mom be hit? And some of these things you think like, why is that a thing? It's what the research taught, right? There's a lot of really, really good data. This is probably one of our most robust data sets that we've ever had. And so it's just, I think my frustration is like, yes, I think, right, kids whose parents are out of the home absolutely need treatment. Also, meaningful trauma therapy while people are incarcerated would be, it feels like it would make sense, right? If you have somebody down for 20 years, you think you could take some of those years and really work through all this stuff, but that's not what it is, right? Here's what happens. You're in for 20, because I would meet guys who were in for 20 years, and I see them the last 6 months. They've never had any kind of mental health interaction, and then they get placed with me because it's mandated for them to be able to get their parole, that they have to go through this treatment program. And it was, we did the best that we could within the confines that MDOC prescribed for us, right? They said, okay, well, this is the limit of what you have, right? I'm trained as a trauma therapist. I couldn't do trauma therapy, right? I could dibble and hey, when you get out, I would literally write on their relapse plan and say, this is the kind of therapy you need. Here is the website you go to. What county are you going to? Let me see if I can because they could see it. They're like, yeah, I am constantly in fight or flight, constantly. All the good coping skills, all the good, there are some classes you can take, right? You can read books and you can, take accountability. It all lives here. And so when your fight or flight system is really activated, this is gone. This goes offline and you're back here, right? And so for us to say, well, people need to be accountable, people need to be, I love that, yes. And also we need to give people an opportunity to actually have the adaptive information in the front of their brain link up with all of this trauma and toxic stress in the back of their brain, right? It feels like it makes sense when you've put somebody in a place where they're going to be there for a long time. Great. This seems like the great time out to then go, let's fix it. And that's just not the reality.
Yes. Well, listen, guys. I can talk about this all night. I'm not gonna lie. I appreciate everybody here at this table who came to share their perspective and their experience, and be vulnerable and just share. This is what this is all about. So I truly appreciate it for all of you all. I appreciate you guys for your questions and your comments. I think passion is good. I think we should care about each other. I think we should ask questions if we don't understand. I do believe in accountability and taking responsibility. I also believe in love and empathy and other chances, right, to get your life together. And I also believe that everybody should have clean water and food that's edible, right, that we can eat. I think that's important.
Right,
and I think people should all feel like they have purpose and have somebody to come home to, so to speak, which is community. And sometimes people don't have that. They literally don't have community. And I get really emotional about it because I think that everybody should have it. So that's why we create spaces like this, because if nobody else feels like they can go anywhere else, they can come here and be themselves. They don't have to feel judged or feel shame about anything, because we're all here just trying to make it together. We've all made mistakes, and we all are trying to get this thing right. So I also promise you guys a little bit of music and some dance. I want you guys to stay for a little bit and continue the conversation if you want to, but just come together and just, have a little bit of good time. We're here till 9. You guys have some more cookies, some more cupcakes, because I don't know what to do with all those cupcakes, so please keep them or take some home to kids if you have kids or you want one tomorrow. I don't care. Thank you guys. Again, I want to thank the Bay Area Community Foundation for helping with this beautiful facility, and also to help with this conversation, because it's such an important conversation. We can't talk about everything tonight, but we can open up some dialogue to continue it at other times, and even tonight if we want to, in our small little groups and pockets. So you guys, we are going to do that over here, and you guys, let's turn up the music mode. Let's go. We're going to have a little music, and thank you all so much. Appreciate it. God, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Let's go. Hey.